Welcome to TeachMeAll.com. In this video, we're going to show you how to change the power steering pump on this 2001 Dodge Durango SLT 4x4.
That's right. Now we're going to go over the tools you'll need to do this job.
Power steering pump, a 5/8 line wrench, a couple different 3/8 extensions, a 3/8 ratchet, a 12mm and a 13mm 3/8 sockets, a 5/8 stubby wrench for tight places, a pair of needle nose pliers, a screwdriver, a 15mm socket and ratchet, a pair of safety glasses, some shop towels, a shop lot, and a pan to catch any power steering fluid that leaks out. And then we're going to raise the hood, and we're going to now remove our serpentine belt using our 15mm socket and ratchet. On the belt tensioner, remove it, take the tension off the belt, slide the belt off the pulley, release the tension, and then we can slide our serpentine belt out of the way. Then we're going to use our 5/8 line wrench to disconnect the high pressure power steering hose going into the power steering pump. We break it loose with our line wrench, and now we use our 5/8 stubby wrench to go ahead and remove the line. When you remove the line, fluid will come out, so have your pan positioned under the line. Now, to just kind of keep dirt out of the lines, we put a plastic bag over the line just to keep it clean. Now we're going to use a pair of pliers to remove the low pressure hose going into the power steering pump reservoir. We slide the hose clamp back, then we remove the line from the reservoir. At this point, a lot of fluid will come out, so make sure your drain pan is positioned properly. We're going to remove the power steering pump. First, we're going to show you where the bolts are located to hold the power steering pump on. The first one is the 12 o'clock position, one at the 9 o'clock position, and one at the 6 o'clock position. Now first we're going to loosen the one at the 12 o'clock position. Once we have it loose, we'll move to the one at the 9 o'clock position. And finally, we're going to move to the one at the 6 o'clock position on the very bottom of the power steering pump. We're showing this view from the bottom, but we're actually reaching the bolt from the top. With these 3 bolts loosened up and removed, we can slide the power steering pump out. We're going to move the two of the 3 bolts holding the reservoir onto the power steering pump. Now, we're removing the old reservoir and putting it onto the new power steering pump, but it's best probably to buy the units as a complete set. This will reduce the chance of having leaks. With these 2 bolts removed, we turn the power steering pump over and access the 3rd bolt through the pulley. Now with all 3 bolts removed, we can separate the power steering pump and the reservoir. Then we're going to remove the factory installed line plugs on the new power steering pump. And we're going to install a new O-ring that came with the new power steering pump on the reservoir. The bolts that mount the reservoir to the power steering pump come on the new pump also. So we're going to remove those first. With those removed, we slide the reservoir into place. And we install all 3 bolts. First, we install the bolt through the pulley. Then we flip the pump over and we install the 2 bolts on the back side. Make sure you don't cross thread these bolts. Once we have these bolts installed and tightened up with our ratchet, we're ready to install the new power steering pump back onto the engine. Once we have our power steering pump back into place on the engine, we line up the 3 bolts holding the power steering pump to the engine. First, we're going to install the bolt at 9 o'clock. Then we're going to install a bolt at 12 o'clock. And then we're going to install the bolt at 6 o'clock. First off, we'll tighten these bolts down with our ratchet. Then we'll use our torque wrench to torque these bolts to 35 foot-pounds. Then we're going to attach the return line. And instead of using the hose clamp that came on this vehicle from the factory, we're going to use a more traditional hose clamp found at most of your auto parts stores. Be careful not to tighten this too tight or you could crack the return line. Hook up our high pressure line. First, remove the bag that we used to protect it from getting trash in it. Remove any plug that may remain on the new power steering pump. Slide the high pressure line into place. Tighten it by hand. Then we'll use our 5/8 stubby wrench. Tighten it up a little bit farther. Then we'll finish tightening it with our 5/8 line wrench. Now once that's done, it's time to reinstall our serpentine belt. Look for the belt routing on the very front of the vehicle. Slide your belt into place. Make sure the groove side of the belt goes onto the groove side of the pulleys. Once we have most of the belt into place, the final step is to release pressure on the belt tensioner using our ratchet and 15mm socket and slide the belt into place. Now we're going to add power steering fluid up to the code mark in the reservoir. Bleed our power steering system. First, we'll crank the vehicle up and let it go to fast idle. Make sure you're not in an enclosed space because of the chance of carbon monoxide poisoning. Now we turn our wheels side to side without hitting the stops. Make sure you keep the power steering fluid filled to the code mark.
We hope this video will help you change the power steering pump on your 2001 Dodge Durango SLT 4x4.
Yes, that's right. And if you have any comments, feel free to send those comments to us at comments@teachmeauto.com.
And as always, thank you for visiting us at teachmeall.com and have a great day.